nothing goes wrong when you don't have expectation. I think people have a lot of things going wrong because they expected something. It's why people struggle with giving. Giving is giving on the person that you're giving it to term, not yours. The amount of giving that is being done in the world that is disguised as manipulation to get something that you want after you give is the reason that giving has cynicism around it. It's not giving, it's manipulation. To me, what we were talking, something to share. We were just jamming a little bit upstairs. Something that I've been affected by in just giving or social good, or we got into brands and business talk a little bit, is that the biggest issue to me about companies and social good have not been the biggest companies in the world. It's been the startups who are using good as a front to their financial ambitions. The amount of companies after Tom's was successful. I personally, and I was kind of slowing down my investing during this period, I personally sat through 40 to 70 pitches where the person walked in and said some sob story about why they were so passionate about the red-headed ant, the insect in Afghanistan, and how every time somebody bought this cola, they would donate a cola to that ant or the kid or this or that. And then when I looked at the economics around the business, they weren't giving jack shit. They inflated the price of the product so much that they were able to make their full margin and then give back whatever they were. As we all know, there's been plenty of buy one, give one. And it got me so cynical to the majority of the altruistic entrepreneur who was using good as a front. And I think we have a lot of understanding that when big brands do things, we're always cynical. But to me, they've been dramatically better social players than the entrepreneurs who are out there fronting that they're saving the world, but they really just give a shit about their economics. It's funny, I'm so comfortable publicizing I want to buy a sports franchise, but I'm outrageously uncomfortable, and a lot of my inner circle's curious about, I'm uncomfortable talking about the things I do in nonprofit. I once had to, after I got into a huge Twitter rant 7 years ago, meet somebody at a Starbucks and show them my tax return because I got into this tiff. Nonetheless, why I bring that up is I'm fascinated by what people want to talk about, don't want to talk about, and I think that's up to everybody. But in that same parallel, the thing that became more obvious to me is it's stunning that at this point in my life, it's far more easy for me to write a check to a nonprofit than sit on the boards that I'm on or actually give time, right? And I think it's, and by the way, I tell when I say that a lot of times I had a friend who heard me say that in some podcast, and he hit me up, I got on the phone with him, he's like, man, I feel bad, I should start doing some actually giving time. I'm like, bro, I'll be honest with you, plenty of organizations need money. This is not about one or the other. It's just what do you have to give? A lot of startup people are like, I don't have money. I'm like, you have your time. You want to build a business and you have no money? Good news, you have your time. Go reply to every single person on Twitter talking about your topic. That's what I did. You got one or the other. And I think when I think about giving, I think a lot about time or money, just like I do with businesses. And I think that's another thing that I've been spending a lot of time thinking about.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you touched on that, because it's you identifying what your time is and how it's best given as well. A lot of people will message me and get in touch with me and be like, yo, I want to come out with you on the street and hang out, or let's go out and give on the street people. And I'm like, there's this guy Franco who's here tonight who's helping me. He just came out of the woodwork from nowhere, and he's like, I'm an editor. Someone introduced me. I'm like, that's so valuable. Oh my God, I've got someone to help me edit some stuff for the first time ever. I'm like, oh God, that's incredible. I'm just saying, that's just one example of you and your time can be spent all kinds of ways. It's going to, again, bring people up and kind of help, direct help.
This goes back to giving. It's funny because I'm sure you get hit up by people who are like, hey, I want to go out with you. Mm-hmm. And because what they want is they want to go out with you, take a selfie with you, get the awareness that they were with you because they think you're cool or it's cool, and that's what they're actually trying to accomplish. This goes back to giving on the other person's terms. I literally get 700 emails a month when somebody knows I'm going to be in some town. They're like, Gary, in the title, great news, I will pick you up from the airport and drive you to your hotel. I want to really give. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. I'm like, that's $48 Uber ride. I need my peace and quiet to catch up with the work when I land from the flight. You don't want to give me a ride. You want me to give you fucking consulting for 45 minutes while we drive. You can save your lunch that you want me to buy, that you want to buy for me and all that. And I'm fascinated by, and a lot of times I'll hit up those kids. They're like, yo, it's not working. I'm like, because you're not giving. When you're DMing somebody, you're asking. You're trying to take. Like, it's a really funny thing to try to get somebody to click on what the definition of giving is. And people struggle with selflessness. They really do. They struggle with not being selfish in the disguise of giving. And I think the reason I want to talk about it and keep throwing out these examples is once you're aware of it, people oftentimes aren't aware, but once you become aware of it, I actually think it changes the entire framework of this conversation. I think giving, and I used, whether I use selflessness or giving, for me, it's like, what do you want? Right? Like if I'm going to give, or if I'm going to be something, like if I'm doing something for you, it can't be what I think you need. It can't be what I have to give you or what's convenient for me to give you. It has to be what you want, what you need. The other party, if you're giving, the other party needs that thing. And so that's the part that keeps playing over and over in my head. Like, giving with the two core things I'm fascinated by is people are great at giving when they have something to give, but if the other person doesn't want it, that's not giving. And then much scarier to me, the one that I'm most cynical to, is I'm going to give to you right now because I have something I want from you even if you're strategic and in 3.5 years, there's something I want from you. I don't mind if somebody's thoughtful and can conceive that there may be, I even do that. I do things that like, oh, this could, it's that I don't expect. For me, I've come to learn that I like admiration. I want a statue, I don't want money, right? And so my selfishness is that I want to be admired and liked and appreciated, and thus I've defaulted into giving, right? In whatever way I think about it. But yeah, I think it's a very interesting, what's fun, because I know there's a lot of business people here, it's how I market. I think it's all very tied together. It's being consumer centric, it's being human centric. I think giving is a really important concept because I think the way people have it framed is so much more selfish. I'm going to share something I've shared very few times in my life. Probably the single biggest disappointing moment in my life of something I absolutely did not see at all. And when I was faced with it, just took the wind out of my body, was when I started joining nonprofit boards and realized almost everybody that was there to network with people, to do shit in the outside world in business, not because they were there for the giving. I wrote a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook for a very specific reason. I thought the best way to market is to give, and then ask and not expect. Not give, and then take. When you give, you give. When you're asking, you're asking. Don't be half pregnant in your giving. Don't be half pregnant in your ask when you want to sell something. It just crushed me. And it was literally the second meeting I ever had. First one was a little weird. Second one, I kind of looked around during it's a 3-hour board meeting. We're trying to build schools in Ghana. And then I'm just listening to what everybody's actually saying when they're grabbing fruit or going for a pee break. And I'm like, fuck. It crushed me. And then I saw it again heavily with when Tom's was successful, the give one, that was very obvious to me. And I see companies doing it all the time. Companies are trying to be good or be more diverse or do the right thing. They're companies, they're trying to make money. And we sense it, but I think we are cynical to big companies. And I think we need to be more thoughtful about individual humans because humans are hiding. Humans are hiding. And I think if humans understood how life actually works, which is when you have something to give and you give without expectation. I think it's intent. Gary, you're such a narcissist. All your content is you. I'm trying to say something to people that I hope they take, and I expect nothing from them. I ask nothing of them, and I hope they take it and do something with it. That is the form of how I know how to communicate it. I'm sorry I'm in the video. Like if you were trying to get everybody to watch so that everybody here thought you were the best guy, so then you could rope-a-dope them and get them into some sort of like $5,000 a month club to be good, then you're a dick face. If you don't, and you live your life and you do it, and then you die, you're the best. I'm not joking. I think intent is the thing. I put my head on the pillow. I think I'm going to make mistakes every day. I will make mistakes. I am a human. I will do things that are wrong. I am a human. I will say I'm sorry when I'm wrong. I will take losses when I deserve them. But the intent is fucking amazing. Like, it's why I'm so fucking calm. It's why I'm happy as fuck. It's why I'm so grateful. It's why I'm able to give, because I'm so fulfilled that, like, I give out of guilt and gratitude, right? Like, I know exactly what's happening with me, and I'm trying to get people to change their perspective, but I'm really not trying to, like, I like the feeling of somebody getting benefit from something you said. That's what I'm sure that gets you excited. Like, watching somebody go do something meaningful because they thought it was cool that you cut somebody, like, that's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it gives me all the hope in the world. That's what motivates me to carry on doing this. Every time someone takes this and does their own thing with it, that's exactly it. So I agree. I think that's...
The thing that I admire about you in the limited time and context I have for you that I think is important to make me palpable, that I would highly recommend people think about, is what is your level of humility? Like, I said it in the 4Ds just now with some people. I really meant it. Like, if I die tomorrow, I think I'll have a good 3-hour run on social media where everybody will share their favorite piece of content or whatever it might be. And literally every single person that is even my superest fan and consumes me 30 hours a day, a week later will be on to their life. And I think when you actually, like, I want to impact 7.7 billion people. That is my ambition. My ambition is to share what my mom did so well with me and pass it on. And my mom, my dad, my circumstances, but really my fucking mom, the way she parented me in that optimism and positivity, but with accountability, right? That balance, which I think we've lost in modern parenting. If I can share that, impact people, get them into perspective, like, I push out my content like 400 trillion to 1. Look, if you like, who likes math in here? You should be happy as fuck. Because when I tell you that your likelihood of being born is 400 trillion to 1, and you go and do the math behind it and actually accept the modern science behind this, which is 400 trillion to 1. If you actually wrap your fucking head around the fact that we're all humans and we're sitting here right now, and the likelihood of that is literally impossible, I don't know, all of a sudden shit gets happy. I'm being serious. I'm being real serious. People are like, why are you so happy? I'm like, if 13 people didn't die today, everything else is manageable. And I really live my life that way, and that leads to happiness, but that's perspective, and that lets you, but that is my goal. My goal is the wiring and serendipity of my DNA. Now that there's an internet, I'm like, fuck it, let me share it at scale. I enjoy it. I like getting stopped at the airport and somebody saying, like, I love it, and I'm gonna do it, and I wanna reach all 7.7 billion people. I mean it with all my heart. But I also mean, and I mean this, and I think I can, and I might, and I really mean that. And I also think I mean jack shit. And once you get that fucking balance, shit gets good. First and foremost, everybody should do whatever the fuck they want. Like, what my opinion means jack shit. There are people, like, my point of view is, for me, just me, I like to build things that are business, and then I get profits, and with some of those profits, I like to do good things. I like separation. Jab, 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 right hook. If somebody wants, if Blake, who's a great friend, did Tom's shoes and the way he liked, and many people argue which one has more scale. Whichever one has more scale is whoever executed better at their thing. Bill Gates made a lot of money and is giving it all away, and so is Warren Buffett. That's plenty of fucking scale. Tom's will never sell enough shoes to beat Warren Buffett in his giving back. So, like, I think it's about self-awareness. What makes you happy and what you think is right.